Veterans are the lifeblood of American freedom, serving in some of the harshest situations to secure that freedom across the globe. This is the Lounge with Legends show, celebrating their transformation from battlefield to business. The Lounge with Legends show with Marty the Moac Martinez and James A. Phelps, a.k.a. Spartan 6.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
All right.
You got me on that one. I was sound asleep.
You need to pay attention there, bro. I'm sleeping on patrols.
Get started. Hey, wait a second. What is that carpet behind you back? Where's all your books?
I'm at Fort Benning. They let me out of the patrol base. The RIs don't know I'm out, but I snuck in. So
It looks like it's nice and sunny down there in Georgia.
Yeah, I would say nice, sunny, humid, hot. It's typical Fort Benning weather for July. So you remember that? You're a summer ranger, right?
No, mine's authorized to be sewn in white thread. Just saying, airbound.
So what's been going on this last week?
Man, it's been a busy week. It's been a crazy week. You just left here, Raleigh. What's Monday, wasn't it, or Sunday? I can't even remember.
I left Sunday. Yeah. So since the last episode, which it's been a whirlwind. So our last episode, who did we have on last Wednesday?
We had Eric.
That's right. We had Eric Marshall. That's right.
We had
Eric Marshall on. So since then, I came down. We converged. We brought JTF 214 together in Raleigh. So we had Dano, we had Sebastian, we had Tim, we had Christina, and then we met with Triple Nickel, Ruben and Chris. We had Donnell with another amazing Veterans Grow America, Veterans Grow Virginia event at Fort Bragg. They got another one coming up. I think their next one is in Charleston. Yeah. So I tell everybody, you got to check that out. Support your veterans. The next one, and I apologize, Donnell, if you're watching this or anybody out there, please leave a comment about where that next Veterans Grow America event is. But it's a great event supporting some awesome veteran entrepreneurs. We met some Warrior Council members, and we're going to explain about what the Warrior Council is. We have, I don't know, we got one of those guys that I think a Warrior Council guy here. I don't know.
I think so. One of them.
Belone. I don't know who that guy is, but he might be able to tell us about that. But we met a bunch of them out there this weekend as well. And then, so that was Sunday, and then Monday night, about midnight, I got in. I flew into Atlanta and drove down 2 hours, and now I'm here in Fort Benning for Ranger Rendezvous. 75th Ranger Regiment has a rendezvous, and they're inducting like right now the 2020 and 2021 Ranger Hall of Fames. And so it's pretty awesome that I'm getting to see the legends and giants that I grew up with as a young man, as a young private, are now being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I apologize. I'm in a hotel, and so the maids are now vacuuming. But seeing them get inducted into the Hall of Fame is pretty awesome. Like Chaplain Barry, he's getting inducted, and he's just amazing. Can I share a picture?
Yes, absolutely. You can bring that picture in.
Well, I gotta share this one. This one is pretty awesome. Tell me when you can see this. All right, so this, huh?
Are you standing up?
So this gentleman here, his name is Thomas Bragg. What this is, and our guest this week, Lane Belone, he'll get a kick out of this, being a Special Forces guy. So that's John F. Kennedy on the left of the picture. This is so every Ranger graduation, we have the Ranger in Actions demonstration. Well, this was probably the very first Rangers in Action demonstration. And what I'm pointing to is this gentleman here, Chaplain Thomas Bragg, getting thrown on the ground, and John F. Kennedy laughing at the demonstration. So he's checking it out. And afterwards, the president walked over to him and patted him down. And he was like, Mr. President, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm checking you out because those are some pretty hard falls. And I wanted to make sure that you weren't all padded up. And he goes, nope. And so he said, so that's what I got in common with Marilyn Monroe. Both got patted down. So anyways.
Terrible joke. That was horrible.
But hey, that was his story. But that was his claim to fame. But it was pretty neat, getting to meet these gentlemen like this that are all around here this week, hearing their stories. We talk about last hard class and Ranger class, and these guys went through back in the 60s, and I'm like, okay, you might have me beat.
Well, it's just like I tell everyone, the hardest school that you ever went to is the one you were in, right? So that's what I tell everyone.
So I know different now, especially as talking to these guys. But let's talk about our guest this week.
Oh yeah, well, I had to talking about Lane and being our guest, I had to use his book and a couple chapters in his book this week on Monday, and talking about quality of life and everything. And the reason why is I got to meet my daughter's boyfriend for the first time on Monday, Connor. Yes, his name is Connor. But anyway, I had to actually read this to calm me down before I actually met him. So anyway, I just had to get that off my chest.
So Lane, so we already had Stephen on, and we joke about this episode, calling this one the more humbler alpha. But I mean, there are two quality gentlemen, and just you couldn't ask for to know a better buddy team between Stephen and Lane. I mean, those two, they're the yin and yang. They balance each other out. It's kind of like I say, James and I. It's you got to have that balance, and that's why jokingly we say the humbler of the humble alpha there. But I've known Stephen longer than I've known Lane, but I met Lane. I think the first time I really met Lane was at MIC DC a few years back, and when just meeting him. And I think the first time I met Lane, we were talking, and I knew I was going to like him. And you know how I knew I was going to like him, James? Because he recommended a book. I was like, boom. Or as he says, bada bing, bada boom. And the book he recommended was The Body Keeps the Score, right? Body Keeps Count, something like that. But it was a great one. But I think we just got to bring him on right now.
Absolutely.
He's very into mind, body, and spirit. He's probably meditating right now. Actually, is he meditating? I'm not sure right now. I think he is. Go get him. Go get him from the green room, please. And,
right.
and we'll
Oh,
there he
I was
is.
in the wrong spot. What
We're
happened?
just going to keep him up there because he
No,
enjoys it
switch
so
this
much.
out.
Mate.
Switch this out.
What's up, gentlemen? How you guys doing?
What is going on, my brother?
Great.
How are you?
Just living it.
Awesome. So happy to have you here, man. It was, you and Steven were like definitely two of the ones that came to mind when we started the show back in March as we were coming up with our guest list. And we were like, well, we don't want to have you both at the same time. That's just too much awesomeness for one show. So we got to spread you out. And so and it was honestly, it was like, well, it was a coin flip. And so we're happy to have you here. We're honored to have you here, brother. Like I said, it was, I knew just the first time I met you, I'm pretty sure it was Mick DC. Was the first time when you guys were doing the speed dating round. And I'm hoping to get that back. I don't know if it's going to be a Mick San Antonio or whatever the event is, but we're going to put something together, I hope, and do another one of those Vetrepreneur Warrior Council type events. But
yeah, we have something planned right now. We can't announce it yet, but yeah, looking like early November, we'll have a very similar event somewhere in Texas. But that's all I can say right now.
Oh, I like it.
We're ready, willing, and
like
able.
it.
Yeah.
Super secret. I like it. So, hey, so let's talk about your journey, because I know most people that know you know about your, they know you're a Green Beret, but they know more about, I think more people know about you being a humble alpha and your quality of life. But let's talk about your journey. What was your call to serve? When did you come in? What was that? Hey, you know what? I want to go in the military. Do you come from a military family? What was that like?
Yeah. So, when we look back, it's like you see the seeds that were planted much easier than you did when you were in the moment. Mm-hmm. And for me, the deciding factor was, a date with destiny, so to speak. I was finishing high school, and I had about 5-6 months before I graduated. And my best friend at the time, AJ, we were like, hey, what are we going to do? And I was like, hey, maybe college. He's like, hey, have you heard of the Army Rangers? I was like, nope. Sorry, gentlemen. No. I was a 17-year-old, dude that, didn't know a lot and, had a lot of drive and, played sports, scouts and all that kind of stuff. But we were deciding, hey, what are we going to do? So we were like, well, I don't know. He doesn't know. And so let's let the fates decide. And so we played rock, paper, scissors for our destiny. And we were like, whoever wins best 2 out of 3, that's the way we're going to go. So he won best 2 out of 3, and we both joined. And he's he has been a first sergeant for a special missions unit for a while.
Nice.
And so although it's kind of funny, and as I relive that moment every time I tell it, it's one of those things where there was some kind of higher power that was guiding me.
I was going to say that. Yeah.
And I couldn't have decided, at the time. And so I just let the fates decide, and I'm, following the humble alpha journey, now it's like I'm tapping into that more intuitive guidance, less willy-nilly today. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you joined and you signed up to be, did you sign up to be just whatever, or did you sign up to be wheeled mechanic or infantry, or what did you sign up to be?
Yeah. So at the time I was like, just let me join and whatever my recruiter at the time told me. And, I joined as an intel analyst, and I don't know why I thought at the time I was like gathering intel versus, analyzing intelligence. So I thought I was going to be more like reconnaissance guy, 17 years old, didn't know anything about the military or anything. And so I joined as an intel analyst. I did my basic training AIT, and first duty station was in Germany. And I quickly learned that, this is a little different than I thought,
Right.
And which is all good. It gave me a beautiful background that complemented the more hardened side of special forces. Of course, if you're in the special operations community, that intelligence and gathering intelligence is all part of the game. And so having that kind of foundation helped me with certain areas as I progressed in my military career.
Right. Yeah.
So what year did you go through selection and all that, the training for special forces?
Yeah, so that was a decision when I was in Germany. I was crushing it for, Army stuff and PT and learning and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, man, I feel like there's something more, and I had that drive to do something a little bit more challenging. And so I saw this poster on the PX door and said, hey, try out special forces. It's, something like that, And I was like, I don't even know what that is. Again, this like dude that doesn't know much, just diving in. And, there's a trend, there's a theme there. So anyways, I go to the brief, and it's in this old German, old style auditorium. So I walk in and I see this, projector at the front, and it's like dudes falling out of the sky, blowing stuff up on four-wheelers, shooting stuff. I'm just like, man, like, that's not the Army that I know right now. So I was like, I think I want to go for that.
Yeah.
And so that was 2007 and early 2007, or no, it was 2006, late December 2006. That was that. I signed up for selection for April 07. Went there, and I almost didn't go. I actually forget this part of the story. I almost didn't go to selection because a month prior to me going to selection, I was part of a field training exercise in my unit. And so hardly any rucking, no PT, eating like crap, all this stuff. And the months prior. So as soon as I decided, like I literally walked around everywhere on base with a rucksack, 45 pounds, like every single place I went, I had a rucksack on. And so I was motivated and all that kind of stuff. But then the exercise, kicked off, and I wasn't doing any of that. I was doing, intel analyst work, which is less than physical, less physical than, special forces prep training. So I almost didn't go. And then they're like, hey, just go, just go. I'm like, okay. So anyways, I go to selection, I make selection, and that was April 07. And then I returned back to Fort Bragg in the fall of the same year. And that's when I start the Q course.
That's awesome. So what, as you went through selection, what were some of the like lessons that you just carry with you? Like you hit some dark spots then, that just obviously forged some mental toughness, some that growth mindset. Is that really when you began your journey of saying, you know what, this is the growth mindset. This is me becoming the warrior that I am now? Or was that when you were an intel analyst? When did all this become?
Yeah, I think a large part of my growth period was during the Q course, both mentally, physically, and a little spiritually. So during the whole Q course, I started reading a lot of books. And one of the books that was most profound for me at the time was Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek. And that basically implanted an idea that I could design my own life. So that was really important for me on the mental side. Physically, there was, tons of different physical feats that I had to overcome personally. And they were all coming at it from different perspectives, and I remember one time, actually this is during selection, but I remember this. Oh no, yeah, it was during selection. It was during team week. And anyways, we had to move an apparatus from A to B, in the sand, however long. And we had to rotate this. I actually was downed pilot. And so basically it was like a duffel bag filled with concrete, and we had to take that and move it, to a certain place. Anyways, during one of the movements, we had, 4 people, and one of the guys just quit. Like he just let go, and so that was, so then we only had 3 guys, and there was one corner that wasn't supported. And that was a moment where it lasted. It seemed like it lasted like 5 minutes, like it just like almost like time like slowed down to where like I was like, okay, this is a moment where I could just give up and quit. Like I could just like, let go and nobody would probably care, right? Because this other guy just, and like, it's really heavy. But that was one of the defining moments for me, like just a tiny little moment that said, you know what, I'm never going to quit. I'm never going to give up. I'm going to keep going, and something's going to happen to where I'm going to be supported. And so basically, like, I don't know how many seconds it was, but it felt like, 5 minutes. Probably was only 5-10 seconds, maybe a little longer. But then we had a guy that rotated out, and he basically like, was able to support that other side, and the support that I needed, that other guys needed too, came. And so that was, these are all small moments, but there was so many of these types of moments. And you guys, going to Ranger School know the same deal, these tiny little, hugely impactful physical moments, define and shaped us as we move forward. And because of its intensity, I think that's what allows it to be lasting.
You're right. I mean, these little moments build into a bigger one that last. And I totally forgot about this. I mean, Ranger School was, freaking over 2 decades for me. But what you just said reminded me of mountain phase, probably like 2 a.m. I don't even remember when, but it reminded me of, we were sitting there, we're doing this movement, and the guy quits. And okay, so now we're stuck carrying all the extra shit. Well, they're like, okay, are you sure you're going to quit? Yes. Okay. Well, he still had to finish the movement with us. So he didn't get out of anything, and he still had to finish the movement. So I'm like, all right. So put that in the middle. You quit, but you still have to get through all this. So what does quitting really get you? You're still going to have to get through the suck.
That's character.
Yeah, it builds character. So just suck it up, cupcake, and just keep moving. And we talk about that a lot here. Is just, I use Dory because I have kids. Just keep swimming. Eventually Disney, we're going to get so big that Disney's going to sue us, James. But
I'll be there next week. I'll make sure that we think about this.
But just keep, that was one thing that they taught me when I got to Ranger School. Before I got to Ranger School, that was the best piece of advice. After they gave me the hour of power, was an hour of power is where they just smoked the dog piss out of you. And the intent was, they want to make it so bad so that you don't come back without your Ranger tab. And then afterwards, then they give you advice. And one of the best pieces I got was, be the last to sit down and the first to get up. Always be ready to help others. Always make sure you're checking on everybody else, and always make sure that everyone else is taken care of. And then when it's time to go, giddy up, let's go. And so those are like little things that just have stuck with me. But again, without having these kinds of experiences, and it doesn't have to be, I think, at Special Forces selection in the Q course and Ranger School and these events, you have these events all through life. You just have to look for them in your daily life and really go, I really did have something like that. And they're there, right?
100%. Yeah. And I think that those small, impactful moments show you your true character, whether you knew it or not. And also it's almost a fork in the road too, because it's the deciding point of what am I going to decide to be? Am I going to decide to be a quitter, or I'm going to decide to keep going and not quit? Right. And those little pivotal, tiny moments, show us our true character. And I think that especially guys like us going to the more extreme situations of, whether it's military training, deployment, or other kind of extreme stuff, those extreme moments take us to a really deep part of ourselves. And because they take us such a deep place that, we know that all this other stuff that's, I don't want to say less extreme, but it basically is, it's like you're able to handle the day-to-day moments with greater ease because you've taken yourself to the extreme, the depths, and you found out who you really were. Right. And you fully decided. And so that way, now as you move forward, with interactions, with relationships with your friends, business partners, strangers, it's really easy to decide, I think I'm just going to be a good person to this person, right? I'm going to, create space. I'm going to, invest in relational capital and say, hey, you know what? Let's just see what kind of value we can provide. If that's a smile, if that's a good story, if that's a solution to a problem that you have, or it's just to open an ear. It's easy to decide that in the littler moments when you've already done it in the more extreme.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, like I constantly talk about me as a dad, and I think me being a parent has helped me become a better human, because I want to be a better adult for the example for my children to be. And so I constantly stress, it costs nothing to be kind, right? If it costs nothing to be kind. And if you hunt the good stuff, if you really focus on, okay, like we were stuck in traffic and my daughter was like, this is ridiculous. She's 8. And I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. That means people are going back to work. What does that mean? Well, it means we're not stuck at home, sweetie. That means COVID is almost coming to an end. That means we don't have to do this telework. You don't have to wear that ridiculous mask. I mean, there's a silver lining. And she was like, huh. I'm like, you just got to look at it, just turn it around a little bit, walk around it and say, there's a silver lining to everything, no matter where you're at. And so, but that's that instilling a growth mindset. I think if we do it with our children, we're going to build more powerful, resilient adults. And so, but yeah, so what are what's the biggest lessons that you learned, that you took from the military that you still carry with you today?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. I know. I didn't retire. I served about 12 years. And I think the biggest thing for me is, go after what you feel is the right thing to go after at the time. Like if I look back at all the different experiences in my military career, it was like this strong enthusiasm to go for what I felt was the right move or the right step. Whether that was to never hearing about special forces and then go into selection, because I hear, there's a lot of people that, like I was in Germany in an armored, unit versus like, guys that grew up at Fort Bragg, it's just like, it's like already part of their DNA almost, because they hear about it all the time. They know about airborne, all this stuff. And so for me, like diving into the unknown continuously,
right,
with the confidence and trust of myself, is one of the things that, I think the military was able to create containers for me, missions, training, leadership, with all the different types of experiences that I had. It was able for me to go into an unknown situation wholeheartedly, with full enthusiasm, and knowing that on the other side of that experience, whether it was a mission, training exercise, whatever, that I would come out somebody better, a better version of myself. And so by continuing that same trajectory, so to speak, or that same approach to life, that's what, Stephen and I have been doing. We've been pioneering into the unknown of a different type of leadership that we're, sharing with the Humble Alpha, and also taking that, stepping into the unknown of veteran healing, with, more holistic approaches, more sometimes taboo with plant medicine or different types of healing mechanisms, so pioneering into this other ways where, of course, we're not the experts at, healing stuff, but being able to connect the dots of how do we apply these, holistic approaches to healing to the veteran space, to where like, hey, there's veterans out here that never heard of acupuncture, never heard of, this kind of stuff, plant medicine, but now it's like, it's becoming more mainstream, less taboo. A lot of celebrities are talking about it. A lot of professionals are talking about it, so it's about how do we create this language and communicate this method of healing to, a community that may not normally embrace this, but being who we are with our journey and being able to articulate it a certain way, it makes it easier for them to go down that healing path, as an example. So pioneering into the unknown is, I think, would be one of the biggest, things that I learned in the military that I still apply today.
No, that's awesome, especially because the way you tied that together, because I mean, I didn't know that about you. Like going from MI armor community into special forces, where like I was born into all this. You know, like when I went into basic training, I went right into the Ranger pipeline, and so I was in the airborne and Ranger community from 1992 until I didn't leave until 2006. That's when I finally left jump status. And that's when I went to a striker unit. And so, yeah. And then like James he went straight into airborne. So yeah, I love that. That's awesome. James, did you have a question?
No, I was just saying that, that I was in high school when you were doing all those high speed stuff. I was still, just wanted to make sure everybody knew that. And I've kind of been waiting for the second half of the show so I could get into the humble alpha stuff. I'm quiet, but there's some great stuff that I know the second half of the show is going to lead up to. So I'm excited about that too. But I thank you, Lane, for your military service. Obviously, it laid the framework and foundation. But the thing that I like about you most is you're still a warrior. You're continuing to be a warrior now. And those are the things that those old school folks. We forget that. Yeah, we are warriors, but yet we still are. So that with your help, and we'll talk about this with the book, but with your help and Lane or Stephen's help, got me out of a dark place. So I'm excited about the second half.
And before we cut to commercial, I will say, yes, it is true. I was jumping out of planes while James was jumping off the school bus. Airborne.
Airborne.
My name is Mike Irwin. I'm the founder and the executive director for Team Red, White, and Blue. We're a nonprofit organization on a mission to enrich veterans' lives by forging America's leading veteran health and wellness community. By far, what I'm most excited about in this partnership with BPN and Team RDBB is that both organizations are still just getting started. And so together, through our partnership, as both organizations continue to still grow, we are really excited about reaching many more veterans than we currently have thus far.
There it is. You're watching the Lounge with Legends TV show with your hosts, Marty Martinez and James A. Phelps.
I love it when you put me in the center stage like that. That's awesome. That's amazing.
Awesome. So the first commercial was the Humble Alpha. So that was with Stephen, and we talked at the beginning about you and Stephen. So before we get into the book, and I know James is so excited to get into it. He's been talking about it like all week, and he's been complaining that he still has a paperback. But how did you and Stephen meet? Because you were doing plant medicine. You were both into plant medicine, and you guys met in Peru or something like that.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, so it's him and I meeting for the first time in Peru was the first time I had a plant medicine ceremony. And again, it was like me pioneering into my own unknown at the time and just going all in. And so my wife and I were living in Panama at the time, Central America. And some friends of ours, they had just returned back from Peru talking about their experience, Machu Picchu, all the cool stuff. And so we were at lunch and they were talking about it. We're like, hey, we got to go. We got to do this thing, So right after lunch, we just bought tickets to Peru. We bought got the flights. And then we're like, okay, I have no idea what we're going to do. None of that stuff. And so months prior, Stephen had posted in the Vetpreneur Tribe saying, hey, I just had this masculine awakening ceremony. And I was like, what's that? That, at the time that really drew my interest. And so I hit him up. I was like, hey, what is this? He said, hey, it's these wonderful people down in Peru. Next time you go down there, let me know and I'll give you the contact. And so I was like, hey, Steven, who are those people that you had in contact with? And so anyways, I contacted them and we set up a whole tour. And during the itinerary, they had Wachuma ceremony, and I had no idea what that was. I didn't look into it. Little did I know, months later, I would find out that it was a San Pedro ceremony, plant medicine. And so, long story short, my wife and we went down there, and Stephen was able to join us with a small group, and we had just a really impactful, powerful moment, or a powerful experience. And along the way, we were like, hey, I like your style. I like what you're doing. I like what you've done and how you carry yourself and all these kinds of things. And so we're like, hey, let's, maybe we can do some stuff together. Maybe not. Let's just try it though. And so then we just started doing some stuff together, and that was the first time we met. And the story of Steve and I is just that we continue to go into an unknown, for us, and pioneer our own path and share what we've learned with other people.
That's awesome. You guys are doing great things. It's truly impactful. You mentioned the Vetrepreneur Tribe briefly. For the uninitiated, can you talk about the Vetrepreneur Tribe and the Warrior Council real quick?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, so the Vetpreneur Tribe is a large community online, about 15,000 veteran entrepreneurs that are looking to grow, scale, find that camaraderie, whatever it is that they are looking for. That's what the group can be for them. Of course, it's a large group, so you kind of get what you put in.
Right.
But the community stands for support, collaborate, and elevate, and being able to do that in whatever capacity that aligns with who you are. Right. So that's the Vetpreneur Tribe. It's a large community, and within the Vetpreneur Tribe, we have the Warrior Council, which is a more closer knit mastermind group. Weekly calls, more camaraderie, more connection, more community, and especially in the veteran space, this is where we're converging the two of the Humble Alpha and veteran empowerment. And so that's where our recent download down in Peru a couple months back was the HAVE movement, Humble Alpha, veteran empowerment. And basically that was us converging our two biggest areas in which we focus. And prior to that, it was, they were in parallel, but they weren't connected succinctly. And so by us, just kind of merging the two, it just made it easier for us to spread the foundation of what the Humble Alpha stands for, the operating system, the principles, and being able to apply that in the veteran space specifically, and then, in other areas of leadership, other areas of life, quality of life. And so the Warrior Council is great for people that are looking to, scale or grow or to find that community. So maybe there's a link we can share later on. But
absolutely.
Yeah. If anybody's interested in either the Vetpreneur Tribe or the Warrior Council, you can go to vetpreneurtribe.com, and then you can find how to look up more information on the Warrior Council. It's a really great community.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I am a member. I've been a member for quite some time. That's how I met Steven. We were part of the very, very first one.
The first iteration, yeah.
The first iteration. And I think we were in the same squad. And then we moved on and been a member of this one since you guys started back up. And so you're right. You get what you put into it. And it's always better to give than receive. And so, and again, the event that you all did in DC was just so impactful with as part of MIC DC with the speed dating and everyone there. And that was awesome. I can't wait for this COVID to dwindle down so we can get a new event going on. But I think let's talk about the Humble Alpha mission, or the Humble Alpha book that you guys have, and all the goodness that you have going on with that.
Yeah, I mean, Spartan 6, you got a specific question. Let's dive in.
Well, first I was going to just say with the Warrior Council, Marty actually introduced me to the Warrior Council. That's how I ended up joining. Marty was on active duty still. And he said, hey, have you, at that point I had my own business. And he said, hey, have you thought about joining the veteran tribe? And I said, what is that? I didn't have any clue. And he sent me the link. And then the next thing I know, he said, hey, have you tried, thought about the Warrior Council? And then we had a conversation on the phone. I can remember where I was standing when he was talking to me about it. I said, absolutely, let me try that. And then the next thing I know, I joined the council, and you signed me to Bravo Squad. So I got assigned to Bravo Squad. And then, the thing that I like most about it's just like your book, you come as you are, and you're not trying to reach out and grab people, but I came how I was, and then you reached out to me. We had the first conversation you and I had was an hour long. I don't know if you remember it, but this is before I even read the book. And I was like, man, if he's going to put this much time and effort into this, establishing a friendship, I said, then this thing is something I want to be a part of. So that I just wanted to bring that up. And then that's when I grabbed the book, and I love it because every time I go on Amazon.com, I'm a Prime member. I look at the book reviews, and I'm one of the first ones. I had a torn bicep there. I was at the beach, but I can remember the first time I read this was when I was at Oak Island, and I was in a beach house, and I read the book during that weekend while I was there, and it helped me because the thing I learned most, and I know it's not about me, but I learned something on page 3, and I always say that in my thing, but page 3, it says, we are what we decide. And at that moment, it's exactly what I needed to hear. I had transitioned out of the active duty years before and had lived in a dark place. But, that's why I get excited about the Humble Alpha and, those kind of things, because this has been a journey. And that's what I like about the book. And I'd like to talk, if you want to talk about the book, we can. I was kind of wanting to talk about what you got some courses and stuff that I need to get involved with, too. So I don't know where Marty wants to go with it, but what do you want to ask?
Wherever. I mean, it's all goodness. Unfortunately, we only have an hour. This could be a several episode event with you and when Stephen talking about what you're doing, because you guys do provide so much.
Well, I'll start out with the macro of what the culmination of the Humble Alpha. So it's been an organic, intuitive path. So whenever Stephen and I started with the book, we actually didn't know there was going to be a Humble Alpha book. We were going to talk about the HIT principles: honesty, integrity, and transparency. And then as we started drafting it or getting the ideas, it was like, man, there's so much more than just HIT, as powerful as it is. And so we just continued to take the next intuitive, organic step. The book happened. Then the book turned into a college course. The book is in the process of several universities, and being able to add on these different layers or these different organic channels, so to speak, of the Humble Alpha. And when we finally realized the scope of what we're doing is changing the paradigm of leadership and being able to fully integrate business leadership, life leadership, relationships, quality of life, impact, and being able to have all of these working hand in hand, integration. Because if anybody that's watching here is a veteran, we know that there can be the person in the military that just crushes military. They're just on it. They're an incredible leader, whether in combat, training, or otherwise. But then we know that a lot of those people have not the best home relationships,
right?
And then we know the opposite as well, to where great family guy, really connected with personal relationships, but then lacking the stern military leadership that we so crave, especially in the military, and not having that full integration or that full balance. And so we took it a step further to say, okay, not just personal leadership, not just organizational leadership, but embedding quality of life, embedding how do we just step into our greatness and provide value at every turn. And so putting all that together into an integrative mindset is what the Humble Alpha is now turning out to be, to where it doesn't matter if you're stepping into your Humble Alpha as a CEO of a Fortune 500 company or a CEO of 50-person company, or if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, or if you're a manager or if you're an employee, or you're retired. So the principles and the operating system of the Humble Alpha is universal. And it's kind of interesting that we've had a lot of women that were very interested in the Humble Alpha and read it and are some of our biggest supporters and advocates. And it's because of this kind of, and Steve and I were talking about this a couple of days ago, which was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting. It's because even though we wrote the book, the original book for men, we're speaking to men directly using, the he, him, and he, and all that kind of stuff. It's the women that read it that basically said, you know what, I know they're talking about guys, but I'm taking the wisdom, I'm taking the stuff that I can take, and I'm not even going to care about the pronoun, And
Right.
So because of that, they saw the deeper message behind it, and so they're automatically on a higher path of the Humble Alpha than somebody that says, well, maybe initially asking the question like, is this only for guys? And so there's nothing wrong with asking that question, but the person that sees wisdom and is seeking wisdom will find it no matter what filter that they may be looking through life. And so it was a really interesting observation that we found. And so it's really creating this ecosystem of leadership. So no matter where you're at on your journey in life, being able to, if you're a CEO, manager, employee, whatever, we're all working under the same sheet of music. We're all operating under the same or similar operating system. And it's this thing where it's replicable infinitely. So it's like the same lessons that I can teach my grandma or share with an employee or a team leader or a CEO or a president. They're all the same universally. So that's why it's so powerful, is that the only thing that we're currently working on is meeting people where they're at, or to be able to communicate the power of the Humble Alpha operating system to meet them in their vocabulary, their situation in life, all those kinds of things, to where the stories that we tell or the situations or the language that we use, they're like, yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from. So it's a complete operating system. It's a complete ecosystem of leadership. And so as we move forward, we're just going to continue to expand different communities, different populations in the country. And veterans, of course, are going to lead the way, because like you said earlier, James, like the warrior within is always there. And to be able to find an ideal or something worth fighting for, and the warrior can apply that, even if it isn't combat anymore, even if it isn't the military service, it could be a common ideal. And that's where the have movement really comes into play, because it's an ideal that is worth fighting for.
As you're employing this ecosystem and working with veterans about how to step into their greatness and unleash their potential, what are like the top 3 things that you see over and over that you would offer to the viewers of, hey, these are the top 3 things that you can unlock right now?
Besides reading the book,
number 1, okay,
Yeah,
top
yeah.
4. Number 1, read the book. Go on
Yeah,
Amazon,
yeah.
read the book.
well, it's so foundational, because it's like, in order to find your place into a bigger picture, you got to know where you fit in within yourself. And so it's like, the old adage of know thyself, I guess that's number 1. And the book's really going to help you with that.
Okay.
And the importance of knowing thyself is that, the more enthusiasm that you can put towards an endeavor organically, without trying to go against the grain or meet yourself with resistance or friction, the more that you can go with the flow of who you naturally, organically, authentically are, the more energy and enthusiasm and support you're going to find. And being able to, we kind of joked about it earlier, like us 4, us 3 plus Steven, we all are different dudes, different guys, and we have our own personality. But Steven and I together create a bond and a movement forward that is 100 times greater than whether we would do it separately. Same with you guys, you know, with the balance, with the different personalities, the complementariness, the different skill sets that you bring, the different perspectives that you bring for the shared endeavor that you guys have, and the same thing with us that we have. By understanding exactly who I am, it's much easier for me to compliment Steven when I need to. Same thing with you guys, you know, as you guys and myself included, because it's a lifelong process of knowing thyself that much more, is that we're able to find the complementary partners, know exactly what like is like our jam, you know, because like when you're in the thick of like something that you love doing, like there's so many more possibilities, there's so many doors you could open that you otherwise wouldn't when you're meeting everything with resistance. You're butting your head against the door all the time because you're like, man, I really don't want to be doing this, versus like the mindset of like, man, I'm crushing this thing.
Right.
You know, so know thyself is number one. Number two, I'd say, is getting in a community of like-minded people that is going to support you in extracting your greatness when the moment calls for. Because sometimes you need a kick in the ass. Sometimes you need a big ass hug. Sometimes you need a pep talk. Sometimes you need just someone asking you a question from a different perspective or a different energy. It says, "Hey, man, have you thought about this?"
Yeah.
You know, and the way they said it, you know, wasn't a way of like judgment or anything. It was just like, brother, I really care about you, and I just want you to just take a moment to ask this question to yourself and see what comes up. Honestly,
Yeah.
You know,
Helping you
and
walk
that's what a
around the
good,
problem.
yeah, and that's what a good support community, you know, offers. You know, and so I think the third thing is pushing yourself out of your comfort zone just a little bit, you know, every day, and to be able to just like, you know what, I don't know where I'm going. You know, I kind of know I got this thing, you know, like generally, and yeah, I kind of know the next step, but there's this middle ground where I'm a little uncertain, maybe, but just going for it anyway, and being so certain in yourself, so certain in your approach to life, being able to sink into that intuition. I think that, you know, getting outside of your comfort zone, pushing yourself, and, you know, just like us, you know, with overcoming, you know, very difficult schools or very difficult circumstances, deployments, training, whatever it is, you know, when we're consistently overcoming, it converts from I need to overcome this to I'm just naturally, organically overcoming things. Right. And then the pedestalness of challenge begins to diminish. And so then you can just move forward in life and say, you know what, I just go into the unknown, and yeah, there's going to be some hiccups. There might be some stumblings, but I'm going to come out greater because I just stepped into this unknown.
That's awesome. No, that's huge, because I think with the balance and then getting out, having that person, I say a ranger buddy, to help you walk around the problem and look at it. That's what I have with James. And as we look at the different problem sets, but then having them push you out, because as everyone knows, anyone who knows me, I'm the whiteboard guy, and I will plan. And then I have James. He's like, okay, I think it's time to launch. Okay, we just had this discussion this morning.
LD time now.
Yeah, it's like, all right, fine, let's go.
Don't wait 2 years, do it in 2 months.
Yeah, I'll continue to push and make it perfect and add. It'll be a great project, but let's just go. So I think those are three great ones, but obviously the best one is buy the book, read the book.
Get that book.
It's a great book. Like I said, and I said it during Steve, I bought it for my mom, bought 2 copies, one for her and one so that she could donate to the local library. It's a great book. We'll drop it. I'll drop a link for it again in the comments after this. I have a copy. I think mine's hard copy and signed, autograph.
We got to work on that. It's terrible.
I might have mentioned that before.
But mine's actually used though. See how it's marked up and used?
I've got a paperback
copy. Actual
copy
working Humble Alpha book. So
boom.
But
hey, you can learn. The thing I like about the book though, seriously, I know I say page 3, but page 3, you learn something on that's the first page, basically page 3, talking about the book, and you know, if you're clear on who you want to be and where you want to go. And it sounds so simple, but I needed to hear that. And I'm telling you, if you buy this book, it will speak to you if you allow it to. So I can't be passionate enough about it. So I don't know what else I can say. Go, Marty. Sorry.
All right, Lane, we got to wrap this up, brother. But so we have to ask you the question we ask everybody. You've served, you've sacrificed, you've been deployed, you've served our great nation. And as such, freedom means something different for all of us as veterans, and especially combat veterans. So Lane Belone, we ask you, what does freedom mean to you?
Freedom means for me the ability to decide who I want to be in the moment, whether that moment is today, this week, this chapter in life, but having the ability for me to decide, and that might be that it's not good for me sometimes, like eating that that extra piece of chocolate cake, or deciding not to work out for a week, or deciding to make a bad decision. That's freedom, and being able to allow those bad decisions or those, momentary indulges to help you on your path, whether it's the good stuff, the bad stuff, they're both there to help us. But freedom allows for all those decisions, whether they're good or bad.
Awesome. I really appreciate it. Like I say, it's amazing that we had you and Steven on. We'll do an episode maybe where we have both you guys on after your next big top secret reveal.
Yes.
That you couldn't tell us about. Damn it. We're hoping to pull that out of you. But,
I'll do it after the recording. Yeah.
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 But awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate it. And again, as always, we thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you for your guys' service. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, what a great episode. That was just, it's always great to have the humble alphas in the house. And so,
yeah, I can't say enough positive things. Lane personally has reached out to me several times outside of, the book itself and outside the Warrior Council, just to help me out going through some business decisions. And I'm just excited that, that we were able to call each other friends and here to support one another, collaborate and elevate together. So that's amazing.
Tony, we got to get Lane on a weekly dose of Dano here. Fantastic show. Dano, you got to get him on, brother.
Yes.
Got to get those humble alphas in there. So who do we got next week?
Well, I'll be at Disney World, right? This is going to be the first time we do it this way. So we're going to have Aaron.
You'll be on vacation, and Aaron's going to be on vacation. We got our first recording, so we're going to run this one. So Aaron is Navy veteran, and also we're on the E360 network. Everyone remember that. And so he's the executive producer of E360. And so we're going to run his episode, but it's going to be pretty funny. It's going to be not funny, but it's going to be a pretty good episode because James makes some spoofs there, some bold assumptions.
I talk in past tense, but it didn't work out so well.
Yeah, it's just didn't work out.
Airball.
And then after that, we'll come back in the studio. I'll be on vacation, but I will not shirk my responsibility because my dedication to duty. I'll be back live in studio. I'll be back live even though I'm on vacation in a hotel room because we're going to have Nick Bear of Bear Performance Nutrition. He'll be on, and that'll be a good episode. And then we're going to go hit the Rangers. We're going to hit Ranger heavy after that for a while. But I appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll see you, James, in 2 weeks.
I'll do a live from Disney, I promise.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, and be legendary.
You've been watching the Lounge with Legend show on E360 TV, countering the narrative that veterans are all broken misfit toys. Veterans are the lifeblood of American freedom. Serving in harsh situations, coupled with their training, have forged them into some of the most resilient and capable leaders in the world. And that's where we come in, celebrating the success stories, taking you on a journey of transformation from military to business. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll be back soon but find us on Facebook at Lounge with Legend or at JTF 214. Till next time.